There are a ton of characters for you to build. As a new player, maybe even an overwhelming amount of characters for you to build. And artifacts play an extremely important role in how you want to build your characters in Genshin Impact. Which should I be spending my energy on? What are the best bangs for my buck? That's what we're tackling here today, guys. Welcome on back. We're going after the best artifacts for a new player to be farming up in Genshin Impact. Now, the first one here is going to be none other than the Emblem of Severed Fate set. This is going to be best on a lot of characters in Genshin Impact because elemental burst characters are very prevalent and very important. The 2-piece energy recharge 20%, it's going to work very well into the 4-piece of its own setup here, giving you elemental burst damage based on your energy recharge stat, all the way up to 75% elemental burst damage. This setup's going to be extremely powerful and some of the best characters that you can build in Genshin Impact. People like Xingqiu or Yelan or Xiangling, any of these characters are going to be working magnificently well with this setup, meaning that if you farm up an Emblem of Severed Fate set, you're going to have a very powerful set to basically sort of min-max on a multiple different characters. You could pretty much pass the Feather, Flower, Sands, as well as circle it around between any of these different characters and finding just an off-piece elemental damage bonus goblet for these different character setups, meaning that farming up the Emblem of Severed Fate set is going to work wonders for you, and it's going to be one of the best sets that you can work towards farming and spending your energy on. And a nice bonus when farming up that set is that it does share the same domain as the Shimenawa's Reminiscence set, and while not as amazing or ubiquitous or flexible as the Severed Fate set, this setup is actually pretty good on a lot of main damage dealers as well, as the 2-piece is going to give you 18% attack, and then the 4-piece is going to give you 50% normal charging or plunging attack damage, sort of like a nice consolation prize. You'll work up on getting some nice Shimenawa's Reminiscence set piece bonuses. It's going to drain some energy, but give you a 10-second bonus of 50% damage to your normal charging and plunging attacks. I like using this on characters such as Hu Tao, or maybe some other character like a big Ningguang build. Anyone that wants to use normal charging and plunging attacks, you can get some of this set as you're working on obtaining a multiple Emblem of Severed Fate sets for your elemental burst damage dealers. That way you'll have an elemental burst damage set and then a normal charging and plunging attack damage set at the same time. The next set that you're definitely going to want to think about building and farming up is going to be none other than the Fontaine Special, the Marchu's Hunter set. Now, the 2-piece here is going to give you normal and charge attack damage plus 15%, and then the 4-piece is going to give you a crit rate increase when your HP either increases or decreases, all the way up to 36% crit chance, max 3 stacks, and it does have a 5-second duration, but as long as your HP is increasing or decreasing constantly, you'll be able to keep this up 100% of the time. Now, this setup is typically best used on characters that were found in Fontaine, as they have HP decreasing and increasing mechanics. But if you got your hands on Farina, this setup can be used on basically any main DPS in the game. You're looking at 15% normal and charge attack damage and 36% crit rate, making it one of the most flexible setups that you can put on any character in a party with Farina. If you have her on your account, the Marchu's Hunter setup is going to be something you can utilize in any team composition on any character. And this fantastic set is going to share a domain with the Golden Troop set, which is going to be an amazing sub DPS elemental skill damage boosting setup, giving you up to 70% elemental skill damage, 20 from the 2-piece bonus, and up to 50% from the 4-piece bonus as well. This works fantastic on characters who like to stay off the field and do a tremendous amount of off-field elemental skill damage, such as, I don't know, Farina, or someone maybe like Albedo. Any character that does off-field elemental skill damage, it works very well. You can also have someone who swaps in to do big elemental skill damage and then swap right back out. Also make big use of this setup too. So the Golden Troop set is sharing with Marchu's Hunter, making this domain a fantastic setup for basically any Farina owner. And just like the previous setup with the Emblem of Severed Fate, have a nice consolation prize with the Shimenawa's Reminiscence setup. The Marchu's Hunter sharing a Golden Troop setup in that domain makes it very energy efficient for you to go for and farm. You're going to get 2 good, fantastic, great, should I say, artifacts for you to farm up in a singular domain between either of these 2 sets. Now, between the 4 sets that we just talked about, we have an elemental burst damage focus set, an elemental skill damage focus set, a normal charge attack, and plunging attack damage focus set. And then if you have Farina in your party or someone who likes to drain or increase their HP continuously, an all-round universal Marshoo's Hunter crit chance big damage bonus set. So that's a lot of setups for all the different damage dealers you can have in Genshin Impact. Let's talk more about what you should be farming up for supports. Now, when we come into farming up for supports, there's gonna be 2 big ones for you here. Now, launch of Sumeru introduced the Dendro element. So let's talk about how you can really buff up basically any team that has a Dendro character in it with these couple of sets. This is gonna be the Deepwood Memory setup. This is gonna be the 2-piece of increasing your Dendro damage by 15%. And the 4-piece here is going to decrease the Dendro resistance of enemies, which is a must-have for any Dendro-focused damage dealing team. And it's gonna be a supportive set for any Dendro damage dealer. It doesn't matter if you're doing Bloom or Hyper Bloom or some sort of quicken team. This is going to be a perfect setup to put on your support character, no matter their element for this team. This is because of the 4-piece setup here. After the person who has this set equipped on them uses an elemental skill or a burst that hits an opponent, this target's Dendro resistance is going to be lowered by 30%. You don't have to do Dendro damage with the character who has this equipped. You just have to use an elemental skill or a burst that can hit an opponent, meaning that you could have maybe one damage dealer like Al-Hytham or Tignari or whoever it is that you want to be doing Dendro damage with. You can put that character on their own DPS setup, and then maybe your healer or your support character who isn't even Dendro element can wear the Deepwood Memory set to further boost up your actual hyper carries damage, meaning that this setup is definitely worth farming for your Dendro focused damage teams in Genshin Impact. And on top of that, if you're looking for another all-rounder sort of DPS set, don't worry, the Deepwood Memory set shares a domain with the Gilded Dream set, which is a mix smash of elemental mastery as well as attack bonus. Basically, depending on the elemental composition of your team, whether the person shares or doesn't share elements with other party members, you're going to get either a further increasing elemental mastery bonus or a further increasing attack bonus. And this is pretty big no matter which way you want to go with it, because, well, a lot of damage that's done in Genshin Impact is reaction-based damage. In reaction-based damage, pretty much no matter which kind of damage type it's going to be, is going to be increased by elemental mastery. So you're going to get this setup. It's going to work very well in Vaporize teams, Melt teams, Hyper Bloom teams. You'll be able to put this setup on a lot of characters in Genshin Impact, and you can think of this as another consolation prize as you're working towards your Deepwood Memory set. You're going to get some nice Gilded Dream setup pieces for your DPS characters as well. And that's going to make this another very efficient domain for you to spend your energy on in Genshin Impact. Now, one final setup that we want to talk about here is going to be the Old Age, the 1.0 Viridescent Venerer set. This is for the Animo supports out there. This is for the swirlers of our universe out here. If you're a new player, Swirl is very powerful because of this set, because if you swirl with a character who has this 4-piece set, you're going to decrease the resistance of the element that you swirl. Say you swirl Pyro, you're going to decrease Pyro resistance by everyone you sucked up by 40%. You swirl Hydro, 40% Hydro resist down. Cryo, 40% Cryo resist down. It is one of the biggest ways to get a big boost of damage in these super hyper carry teams where you see an Animo character in them. So I need to mention the Viridescent Venerer set as something that is going to be a big boost of power for your teammates in Genshin Impact. Put this on your Animo character, put these on your Animo supports. You're going to love the damage that you get from them. I do mention it last though, because it is a supportive aspect and you are going to want to farm up the other sets that we talked about in this video, probably for your main DPS and your sub DPS before you try to min-max out a 4-piece Viridescent Venerer setup. So now that you're armed with the knowledge of the best sets for you to spend your resin on in Genshin Impact, let me know which one you're going after first down below. Is it going to be a Hyper Bloom, or are you going to try to go and get some Severed Fate? I would suggest Severed Fate because it's so good on so many good characters. If you're looking for the Hyper Bloom guide, check it out. It's here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.